We have all been there. You're standing at a crossroads, you're facing a decision that feels so big, it's like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Today, we're going to explore a really powerful way to navigate those moments, a technique for finding clarity when our own minds are just, well, way too noisy. I mean, have you ever felt just completely paralyzed by a choice? You've made the pro-con lists, you've asked all your friends, you've thought about it from every single angle you can imagine, and you are still just frozen. That feeling, that paralysis, is exactly what we're talking about today. This is that moment. It's that point where the pressure to make the one single right decision feels absolutely immense. There's this universal fear that if you make one wrong turn, it could lead to all this regret. And that pressure, man, it can be completely overwhelming. And what's so fascinating is what happens inside our own minds when we get like this. We get caught in these endless loops, right? Overthinking every possible outcome, just terrified of making a mistake. So we seek out advice from literally everyone, hoping someone else has the magic answer. But all it really does is add more confusion, and we end up feeling totally and completely stuck. It's a state where our own logic has basically just hit a wall. So how in the world do we move past this? Well, the key is a total shift in perspective. It's about moving from that fear-based, limited way of thinking into a place of genuine trust. This is where we learn to surrender our own anxious logic to something bigger, which you might call a higher wisdom or an infinite intelligence. Now, in many spiritual traditions, this exact practice has a name, Istikhara. But really, the concept is universal. At its very core, it's simply the art of asking for guidance. It's a way of formally saying, okay, I've done my part, I've used my brain, I've used my logic, and now I'm surrendering the outcome to a wisdom that's way greater than my own. And this chart just illustrates the difference so perfectly. When we're relying only on our own limited logic, we're almost always operating from a place of fear. All we can see are the obstacles. We feel anxious, and we desperately try to control every little variable. But when we decide to tap into this idea of an infinite intelligence, the whole game changes. It's not about fear anymore. It's about trust. It's about seeing the bigger picture, cultivating a sense of peace, and practicing surrender. It is a profound internal shift. Okay, so you've done it. You've asked for guidance. You've surrendered the choice. The big question is, now what? How do you actually recognize the answer when it comes? This is the part that can feel kind of mysterious, but it's actually much more practical than you'd think. You're not waiting for a lightning bolt to strike or some huge dramatic sign from the heavens. The guidance is often way more subtle, and it's integrated right into your everyday life. We can actually break it down into two key signs to look for. One is internal, it's all about what you feel, and the other is external, it's about what you observe happening in the world around you. Here's the first crucial point. You have to pay attention to your heart, to your intuition. After you've asked for guidance, you might just notice that when you think about one of the options, there's a subtle feeling of calm, an expansion, a sense of rightness. It's not necessarily a loud excitement or passion, but more of a quiet, reassuring peace that just settles over that particular choice. And at the very same time, you're looking at the world around you. This is the second sign. You might find it for one of those options, things just start to flow. Obstacles that seemed huge just kind of melt away. The right person calls you at the exact right time. A door you were sure was closed suddenly swings open. The path just becomes easy, almost as if the universe itself is conspiring to help you walk down it. And this brings us to what might be the most powerful idea in this entire process. It's a complete redefinition of what success even looks like when you're making a choice. It stops being about picking the winner. Instead, it's about the win you get from the act of surrender itself. This line gets right to the heart of it. Let that sink in for just a second. Choosing with infinite intelligence means you never truly lose. So what on earth does that actually mean in practice? It means the pressure is off. Every single path, whether it looks like a success or a failure from the outside, becomes a source of learning, a source of growth. Trust in the process replaces that desperate need for one specific outcome. You start to see that the real goal isn't arriving at some perfect destination, it's about the growth you experience on the journey. You get to walk forward with a sense of purpose, knowing you're guided, instead of being paralyzed by fear. So, the entire objective shifts. You stop chasing this illusion of a perfect, foolproof choice, and instead you start seeking a sense of peace and trust in the act of choosing itself. that piece. That becomes the prize. And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. Just imagine your next big decision. What would change for you right now, in this moment, if your primary goal wasn't to guarantee the right outcome, but simply to find the right piece in making the choice? Something to think about.